I'm Ginny Robertson, founder of the On Purpose Woman Global Community and founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine. I'm here with Rosanna Tufts to talk about her article in the July-August issue of On Purpose Woman magazine. Rosanna, welcome. Thanks for being with me.
Thank you very much, Ginny. Delighted you invited me.
Well, before we start this conversation about your article, please, what would you like our viewers to know about you?
What they'd like to know about me is that I am an astrologer in the Vedic tradition from India. It's a bit different from the astrology of the Western world that you might be familiar with. It tends to look at different things. And I was trained by Sam Sadasiva Jeppy and his American Academy of Vedic Art and Science. And I graduated in 2013. So I've been doing this for a while. And there goes my furry supervisor
And
behind.
I love your helper up there. Yes, yes. Anything else you want to say about that? We'll talk about it. People can
Yes.
get in touch with you
Well,
later, but
yeah, well, we can maybe fill in a little bit, some more of that later.
okay, okay, sounds good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the very opening of your article, and then I know you want to share a screen and give us some visuals while you talk us through a little bit about something that, like you say, a lot of us may not know anything about because you write, you probably all know about the 12 astrological sun signs, but have you ever heard of the moon signs? There are 27 of them, one for each day in a lunar month, and they overlap the sun signs that you already know. They are also called lunar mansions or nakshatras in Sanskrit. Each one has a deity associated with it, and the one your moon landed in at the time you were born, that deity's story is supposed to be a guidepost for your life. So, how does that work? I
Well,
know
yes,
we're only going to touch the surface with this today, but you will also
yes,
tell people at the
yes.
end how they can.
May I say the lady who did the layout of my article in the magazine? Oh, she did such a gorgeous job. She made me look so beautiful.
I passed that compliment on to her. It's interesting. I
Yes,
interviewed somebody yesterday. She goes, I just love the photos that she chose for my article. So Ann Pamphilis,
yes,
I'm going to shout out Ann too, does such
yes,
a beautiful job of making everybody look good, including me, because my name's on the magazine. So yeah, I do
yes.
nothing. I have nothing to do with that, y'all. I do the
Okay.
yeah, but not that.
Okay.
Yes.
All
So
right. So
Rosanna, do you want to go ahead and share your screen?
what I'd like to do is share this graphic here, and that shows you what all the lunar mansions are. It looks kind of complicated, but the way I laid this out is to show you how they overlap and fit into the sun signs that you know of Aries and Taurus and Gemini going all the way around. You'll notice they start with one called Ashwini, which is called the horseman, and it that is in Aries, and the follows on with Bharani, and then the third one, Kritika, actually straddles the line between Aries and Taurus. And the fourth one after that is Rohini. And then the fifth one, Mrigashira, is the one that I like to use as an illustration of how this system works in terms of the story and the god that is associated with it. These three, Rohini, Mrigashira, and Ardra, are all connected. They form like a continuous story. So the story goes that the creator of the universe, Brahma, wanted to create humans, and he wanted his humans to be beautiful. So he wanted to impregnate his most beautiful daughter, who was Rohini, the fourth nakshatra. There was just one problem. Rohini did not want to have sex with her own father. So what did she do? She transformed herself into a deer. You'll see that Mrigashira, the translation of it is the deer's head. She transformed herself into a deer and she ran away. She ran so far that she ran clean out of Taurus and into the next sign of Gemini. Brahma took off in hot pursuit, only to be stopped by his own son, Shiva, who stepped in between them and said, "Dad, what are you doing?" The lady said no. Brahma just pushed right on past him to try to catch up to Rohini. So Shiva uh, caught up to Brahma and stopped him by cutting off his head and throwing that head into the sky, where it became the nakshatra of Ardra, the sixth of the nakshatras. So what we see with Mrigashira is somebody who can be very skittish and always searching for something that is higher than just the kind of the mundane ick of life here on Earth. And there's a famous person whom I like to use as an illustration of this particular Mrigashira, and that is the ballerina Natalia Makarova, who infamously defected from the Soviet Union in 1970. She literally jumped the border from one country to the next and had an even greater career in London and New York, and became an American citizen. So let's see, when we go back to my article, minimize that. In the article that I published in your magazine, I talked about a different one from this particular uh, nakshatra of Mrigashira. I went down to this one in Scorpio, in the middle of Scorpio, Anuradha. And the god of that particular nakshatra is Mitra, who is known as the divine friend. And I wrote that when the moon is in Scorpio, it feels very vulnerable. It feels like it's trying to control things that cannot be controlled. And Anuradha, the myth of Anuradha, shows you that the solution to that is to not be quite so attached to people, to try to control them, to instead be a friend to everybody that you are close to and try to support them as much as you can, as the god Mitra would. And base your relationships on friendship, not quite so much on romance. And in the article that I published for you, I chose Kevin Costner as someone who has this particular moon in this lunar mansion, because I find it kind of interesting to see how these stories will play out either in the person's own life, in the case of Natalia Makarova, or in the most famous roles that an actor or actress will portray. And in Kevin Costner's case, we associate him with the movie Dances with Wolves, where the solution to pretty much all of his problems involves not being an enemy to the Lakota tribe, but to be their friend and ally, so that when the Union Army comes after them, he ends up providing them with a means of escape. And he finds romance along the way too, with the character Stands with a Fist. So these become guideposts for how you can solve the riddle or the dilemma of your life, depending upon which of these 27 your moon lands in your horoscope. So, am I making sense?
You are to me, yes. But you have to know where your moon lands, I guess, right? I should have probably gotten in touch with you earlier and found out where my moon lands. And then I could, because I don't
Yeah,
remember
then I
any of
could
that.
talk about yours
You could
too.
talk about me. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So let's see, you want to say anything more about this or want
Yes.
to screen
Yeah,
share
I
some
also
more?
wanted to say that this, now I didn't mention this in the article, that these lunar mansions also turn out to be very helpful in okay, can I stop the share? Where's the button? Yes, they turn out to be very helpful also in determining relationship compatibility between two people.
Hmm.
And the reason for that, this is one thing that a lot of mistake and a lot of astrologers make, that they try to match up the sun signs. And that really is not true, because in a relationship, you are bearing your soul to someone. You're you're letting down your guard. You're letting yourself be vulnerable with someone. And that is not something that the sun speaks to.
Mm,
That is because the sun is all about how powerful can you be in the world. The moon, on the other hand, now that's where you are living in your feelings, and that is what you want to see. How vulnerable can you be with another person? How emotionally naked and honest can you be in a relationship? And so then it's the moon signs that you want to be looking at for determining how well someone will match up with you.
mm. So are the
And
moon signs more about emotions then?
that's correct.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Which is so important in relationships. I mean, it's probably the
Yes.
most important thing in relationships is sort of
Uh-huh.
regulating and understanding our emotions.
Yes.
I
Yes.
want to
How
back up. Go ahead.
can you be present with someone when they're
Yeah.
going through a hard time?
Hmm.
Sometimes it's just a matter of holding space for them.
Okay. I'd love to back up a minute and just ask you how you came to this work.
How did I come to this work?
Hmm.
Okay, well,
Or how
I
did this work come
actually,
to you? Might be a better
yeah,
question.
well, actually, I had been really studying astrology since I was 15, and picked up a book on the subject in a local bookstore. And I still have that book, but I kind of struggled with it for many years. And then because it's like it raised more questions than it answered. I
Mm,
knew there was something to it, and there were some times when I could actually get things right, but I really needed to find the right teacher to learn this from, who could lay things out in a structured manner. And I came across Sam Jeppy's work in, I think it was about 2004. And I started, this was um, when the internet was still fairly new, and he was starting to put the short lessons out on the internet. And I started subscribing to his newsletter and watching some of his videos, and realizing that this was making a heck of a lot more sense. And uh, I had been looking for a school that I could enroll in and actually get a certification in.
mm,
And something always stopped me somehow. It just, no, it just didn't quite resonate with the options that were available to me at the time, until Sam Jeppy decided he was going to put together his own school, which he launched in 2012. And I was one of the first students to sign up.
okay.
And that is how I started learning this in a systematic way, so that I could then be doing this kind of work for other people.
Well, aside from the relationship piece, what is a way that someone might use this in their lives? What can it help? What can it, how can it help? How can it help? How can it enhance? It's not predictive, I don't think, right? Is it?
No, it is. It can be
It
very
is okay.
predictive.
Okay.
Yes, it can. For example, um, how it could be, you try to think of an example where it could be predictive in terms of the timing of
Mm.
events. So there is a branch in this that is very predictive. And for example, I can look at a chart and determine when within a certain amount of time frame, I could determine when somebody is likely to meet the person that they are going to marry, or when a job situation that they're in is not is it's going to run its course and they're going to have to make a change. And there was one case I absolutely nailed, a person who was living in Phoenix at the time. And I said, you are in an environment that is too fiery. You've got to get closer to the water. And if you do this, if you commit to this and make it happen, it'll happen within this time frame of 6 months. And I absolutely nailed it. She moved to the coast of New Jersey,
And things
where
worked
it's
out for
much
her from
colder
that
and
perspective.
rainier.
What was that?
It's much colder and rainier,
Yeah, yeah.
and she felt a lot better after that.
Wow, that is quite interesting. And so you work with clients on helping them. Why would someone come to you?
Usually when someone comes to me, it's because they're at some kind of a crossroads and they're not sure where to turn. Uh, uh, Sometimes people just want to learn more about themselves, but they tend to be the exception rather than the rule. It's usually when they are on the crux of something
Mhm.
that they need to have some guidance to this and they don't want to make a wrong decision. And
Okay.
I'm able to explain to them, okay, here are the dynamics at play of this is why you're having trouble with this particular authority figure, as an example. And I can say you are likely to be a lot happier working for a smaller business, say one that has only 5 people in the office, working in a focus group or small team,
So you
as
can
an
give some pretty
example.
direct direction then. You can
Yes.
really, yeah.
I mean, or at least I can narrow down what the options are
Hmm.
and say, look for such and such
Yeah.
as you're on this journey.
It's fascinating. It's
Yes.
fascinating. Okay, then how can people find out more about you?
Yes, they can. I do have a fan page on Facebook called Wisdom of the Cosmos. And you can find a lot of educational articles there about how this system works, and where I talk more about specific things that have been going on in the news. I'm also on YouTube, where I will uh, somewhat semi-regularly post post articles about astrological current events. And every time that there is an eclipse going on, those tend to be very intense times, and I will host a online ritual by YouTube that people can follow along with.
Okay, so that link to your Facebook page is in the text of this video, y'all. So be sure you
Yes.
check out Rosanna's Facebook page. Sounds like it has access to a lot of free information that you might find interesting. And this is a business for Rosanna too. So if you find you really want to have a conversation, do you do like an intro convo with anybody, with
Oh
people?
yes, certainly I
Okay,
do, and I can, and you can direct message me on Messenger on Facebook to start that conversation.
okay. So if you're watching this live or the replay on our YouTube channel, Rosanna does share more in her article. She goes into great detail about the story of Kevin Costner in Dances with Wolves, which I think makes so much of what you're talking about makes sense. Where might they find that diagram? Is there a place that is that on your Facebook page?
Um, It actually is not, and I
Okay.
should put it there.
I was going to say that might help
So
them
I
actually if
should.
they're reading
I
the
will do
article.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. You're so welcome.
Thanks for the reminder.
Well, Rosanna, as we wrap this up, could you share like a final thought with our viewers?
Yes, I should like to point out that one thing that I do as kind of a freebie introduction for people who are interested in might be interested in a longer consultation is that I will do a lunar mansion report for you just on that particular part of your chart and what that lunar mansion means for you, and I would need your birth date, obviously, your birthplace, and your birth time, which can't, it says not everybody has that, but the birth time will determine which particular lunar mansion you have because the moon might change signs in the middle of the day. So it really helps if I have an accurate or close to accurate birth time for me to work with.
Okay.
And you can, and I do those, I sort of give those away for free so you can see how I operate and possibly go on for a more fuller consultation.
And they can find out how to do that on your website, I mean, on your Facebook page as well, right?
That's correct. You just
Okay. So
send
sign
me
up
a,
for a
send me a
freebie with
message.
Rosanna. What was that?
Send me a message there.
Okay, you can send a message on her Facebook page. So check that out and see if it's a fit for you. And if it is, you might be able to open up some new avenues of who knows what for your life. So Rosanna, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us in the magazine. Thank you for being with me. And I love you're really great at explaining kind of complex things. And I also love how enthusiastic you are and passionate you are about this work that you're doing. So thank you. I appreciate you.
I mean, it really helps make sense of yourself and make sense of the world around you and make sense of what's happening in the world.
We can all use some of that, couldn't we?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you again for watching the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. For more information on the On Purpose Woman Global Community and magazine, please click on the links in this video and be sure to check out Rosanna's Facebook page for all that she offers. And for more interviews with amazing women living their lives on purpose, check out our YouTube channel, also in the text of this video.